Now what I'd like to show you is if you go through a measurement session and you don't have a CAD model, but you have to do some CAD model comparison, or you want to align this data to the CAD model, but it's just not available by the time you get to the measurement session. So you don't have that as a showstopper. You've actually can collect the data, and then you can pull the IGES file in later and then do your alignment at that point. So that's what I want to go through here. I've measured this truck frame, and I knew that I had some datums on a drawing, so I knew that there were some points. They were on separate individual patches that formed the datum A. And then what I had is a couple other points that would solve for B, actually 4 points. And then I had a hole and a slot, kind of a typical datum alignment. So it was very easy to go through that measurement session without the CAD because I knew at a later point I was going to pull that CAD in. And since I'm going to do some iterative alignment to some surfaces, I had to measure those surface pads on the part as surface points. So now I've got this measurement done. I've actually taken the measured data, the feature data out of this model just to make it easier to see what I'm going to be doing here. But what I've got is all of my points that are needed for doing the alignment. All right, well, all of a sudden I've got my CAD model. So under my File pull-down menu, I'm going to go Import CAD. And I'm going to get that right from my client's directory. And there it is, the truck frame weldment. It's going to read it in. You can see, just with my dynamic rotate, I'm just going to rotate this thing around. It's in a totally different and irrelevant position than from where I was measuring. So now that I've got this CAD part here, I actually stripped out some of the data in here that I didn't need just to make the file a little bit easier to toss around and to show you for this example here. So this file was relatively small, but yet it's showing all of the surface patches that I would be using to do my measurement and to do my alignment. So what I've done is if I put this CAD model, usually the key 9 shows me the isometric that I was actually measuring in. All right, so what I've done here is I've pulled the CAD model in, and I've got some surface. These round surface patches are what make up my A datum. So let me go and I'm going to window into this little area, and then I'm going to hit the R key for refresh. This little surface patch right here is what I used for datum A1. So I'll go back to review features here a second and go from screen. I'll highlight that surface there. Okay, it finds a couple faces. I know it's not that one. Okay, it's that one there. So I'll call that datum A1 and hit enter there. Now what I'll do is I'll zoom out just a little bit and go to the other corner here. Same thing. I'm going to highlight that surface. Whoa, it only found one surface. I'll call that datum A2. Now let me take a look. If I hit enter, okay, it's highlighting that circle red. Let me now zoom out to the other corner. All right, this surface now, this little patch, I will highlight him. It only finds one. It's good to know. And I call that datum A3. I hit the enter key. There it is. It's turning it red. And now I'll zoom out and pan over to this corner. Now, there will be a couple faces it finds. There is the patch I'm looking for, and I'm going to call that datum A4. All right, very good. So I've got 4 up-down patches that I'm calling A, and that's actually what the drawing wants me to measure to. They're all 4 called datum A. Now, what I've got is, let's zoom out one more time, there's this one big surface patch that goes all the way from left of my screen to the right of my screen. That surface patch is considered a B datum in just a localized area here and over here. So what I'll do is, I'm still in review features here. I will right mouse key just to show you that all 4 of my A datums are in that review features now. So now I'll go from screen again. And I'll zoom in just a little bit here. I'll highlight that surface patch. It only found one patch there, which is great. And I will call that datum B. And since I know that there's 2 targets on there, and they're targets B1 and B4, I will write that in there as the description. Say OK to that. See how it highlights that whole patch from left of my screen to the right of it? That's great. I do like that. So I've got that one. And then this patch over here is considered datum B2 and B3. Hit enter on that and it highlights that entire surface there. Okay, great. So now I'll right mouse click and all of those nominals are into there now. So I've got those two nominal datums that are B and all four of them that are A. So I'll say OK here. And then what I'll do is on the drawing it's calling out a hole and a slot that are going to make up my C datum. And I am going to zoom in, kind of pan around, and it's this circle here that's going to be my C datum hole, and then this slot here is going to be my C datum slot. So let's zoom into this little area right here. I'm using my arrow keys and my I key, I for in. There we go. And then my R key will regenerate that. Now there's a wireframe entity right there that came through the CAD model. I want to make that a nominal. So I'm going to go and construct that. The surface patches I could actually go into review features and do from screen to find them. But this wireframe right here, I've actually got to construct a circle that is a nominal. It's asking me down in the bottom left to select a point on a circle. I will get my cursor as close to that wireframe as possible. Click once. Now it's asking for 0.2, so I'll go and click 0.2, and then I'll do 0.3. And notice I'm working my way around this circle as if I was measuring it with a probe. So I've picked on 3 pieces of that wireframe, and then Farrell's developed a vector here. I can keep that vector, or I can toggle it with the left mouse key. I'll put it up, and then I'll say right mouse key, and that's where it saves it. That's where you can actually give this a name. So I'll call that the datum C hole. There it is. It laid right over top of what that C datum hole on the wireframe is doing. Now let me go up here to that slot and zoom in, and then I'll hit the R key. I always like to regenerate that view to make it a little bit more crisp. Makes it easier to pick up on that surface. And now, just like with the construction of a nominal circle, I'm going to do a construction of a slot, or a round slot, that is nominal. Now it's going to ask me down in the bottom left, it says select point 1 on the first circle, which is really the first arc. So I'm going to click right about here. Now it's asking for 0.2. Do it right about there. And then 0.3 right about there. Okay, now it's asking for 0.1 in the second circle, or the second arc. And just make sure you're past the point of tangency, that you're truly on the arc. Click on there once. There's number 2. There's number 3. Okay, there's my vector. Again, I can toggle that with the left mouse key and right mouse button to accept that. And then it gives me another axis here. That's the axis of the slot. I don't mind that way. I don't mind that way. It doesn't matter. So I'll just hit the right mouse key there. And there it's saving it out. And I'm going to call this the datum C slot. And there it is. It overlays onto there. Now in this one here, it looks like it's a little bit off. So I might go back in and redo that. In fact, I'm going to do that, but I'll do it rapid fire so you guys don't have to wait. But always do that. Look at your data. Make sure that your slot is truly right over top of where that feature is. All right, let's take a look at that one. That one might be a little bit closer. It still looks like I've got a little bit over here. Pretty close in through here. But I will continue with that. What you could do is you could take your CAD designer, if you've got the CAD package, or if you've got a phone call to whoever put this data down, if they can pull that from a CAD package and give you the exact XYZ, sometimes that works great too. I will take now all of these nominal features that are now in my review features, plus all of my datum information that I've already measured, and I'm going to make them come together with my iterative alignment. So what I'll do first is I will associate my nominals. So I'm going to go right to this datum A1. I'll highlight him, and I'll go to the Nominals tab, and I'll select the nominal that I've already got out there called the nominal datum A1. And I'm going to do that with all of these features. Now I'm going to go to B1, and I'm going to say that B1 is associated with my nominal B1 through B4. It was that whole surface patch. Now my next one is datum A2. I could go to this down arrow here, pick up on nominal datum A2. Measured datum B2, the initial time I tagged that. If I can't remember quite what I named the datum, I could use the from screen command, that arrow there, and say, I know it was in this area here. Oh, okay, yeah, that must be datum B2 and B3. Well, that makes sense. Okay, good. Well, I'm glad I named them the same, because that is always helpful later on. After you've measured and you've come back maybe a week, and all of a sudden here comes your measured data and your nominal data together, it always makes sense to have names that are consistent. Okay, so now datum A3, my measured datum. I'll go and select the nominal. That is the nominal A3. All right, so I'll go through the motions here. Here's B3, nominal B2, B3, measured datum A4, nominal datum A4. Here's my measured datum B4. It's going to be on this area here, datum B1 through B4 surface patch. All right, I constructed a plane out of those 4 measured surface points. I'm not going to worry about doing anything there. And then when I measured my hole and slot, I put those down on a plane that I defined as C. Now, here's datum C hole. I'm going to say that has to reference datum C hole. That's a nominal. And I'll do the same with the slot. All right, and say OK. Now, all of my data is associated. Nothing's moved yet. You can see that. Nothing's moved into position because I haven't tagged on my alignment iterative yet. So once I do that, then I say, yep, all of that data right there. That's why I measured it. I measured it to align to my CAD model. I won't set the weights just yet. I'll show you how it's going to go through and just solve for this. It's going to grab all the surface points and these 2 features that are hole and slot. And it's going to say, okay, look at it go, look at it go, boom. Okay, it took it a little bit, 51 iterations. I'm within 63 thou at my max error. And it's saying that is that datum A2. All right. Well, that's pretty doggone good. This truck frame is quite big, so that doesn't surprise me in the least that that is 63 thou different in this A datum area. So I'll say OK, and watch what happens there. Pronto, my data jumps into its position. Now look what I've got here. I've got datum A1, datum A2, 3, and 4. My B's, here's B2 and B3. B1 and B4, all of those things now are best fitting into that location. Now, here's my hole and here's my slot. And again, when I do the iterative and I don't set weights, it's going to best fit as best as it can all of those points. Now, what I can do is prove that to you. And this is what I'd expect you to do as well, is once you do this iterative alignment, prove to yourself that it's exactly what you want. So I'll go to A1. Okay, that's about 30 thou. A2, there's my issue. That was 63 thou. A3, 26-ish, and about 58-ish. So you've got a couple points that are off. It looks like there's a little bit of a twist in the part. Now, if in the datum you say that my hole and my slot just have to be where I'm setting up my alignment, as if I was pinning this in a gauge, then what you do next is you go into the next training module that will show how to set weights when you do an iterative alignment. It will show you how to set the weights and then force the measured features of the hole and the slot to conform to the X, the Y, or the Z component, whichever you choose.